things in all good time. My channel, where it's always a good day to be alive. And unfortunately, the news is no good, very bad, terrible, god awful. And unfortunately, right, we have this Republican crime family, these Republican crime lords driving the news cycle, and they want to make sure ain't nobody having a good time in this world. They are trying to ruin everybody's good time everywhere on earth. It's a weird fascination to want to ruin other people's lives as much as possible. But that process has begun. We are a little over 100 days in a bunch of people who were treated miserably in, I guess, junior high or high school, now getting their revenge. So this is the god-awful news, because if you think the news was bad yesterday, well, you'd be right. And if you think the news got better today, no, it didn't. It's only getting worse, and there's just so much of it. Anyway, I need to do this. I've got a lot of balls in the air right now, you could say. I got the last 2 days of my semester are right now. I have to finish this and then prepare another show and then do another 3-minute predecessor to that, and that 3-minute is what I'm turning in. And so there's that. I've been playing with AI, as you can see. Cartoon superhero, patriotic superhero cartoon dog on the, at a protest in front of the Capitol with a sign that says "Protect the Constitution," and so on. I just did a cartoon superhero donkey at a protest in front of the Capitol with a blue trucker's hat that says "Patriot." Anyway, AI images are a fun new little thing, and you know, it does drive your imagination and your curiosity. I understand all the negatives of all that and how it's going to affect art in general. And I am concerned about AI. This desire that the oligarch leaders in the tech world are bringing forth, wanting to force, like the notion that, okay, AI is going to cause disruption is one I think people were able to accept. But no one wants to have it like shoved down our throats at an accelerated pace, displacing as many jobs as we can, as fast as we can, like that. I don't think anyone was hoping for that. And Republicans and their criminal ways are doing everything they can to just cause pain everywhere. And that seems to be one of the ways they're doing it. And this notion of, oh, well, AI can just do it better than a human can all the time. Hey, John, what's up, buddy? I don't understand why the stock market hasn't reflected reality yet, but it's just got to soon. I mean, what is it just keeps not going down when all the news, including in the world of financial news, all of the analysts and people putting huge bets on things are saying, I'm staying out of the market. I love it. I love you guys so much. It's so cool. But yeah, I do suspect it's going down. I did just notice, I was doing a reverse stock search course for companies to pay good dividends, but on that horizon popped up good old Petro Brazil, that's come down significantly, of course, and it's working its way back up. It's starting to pay a dividend. Right now it's paying like an insane dividend, and it's $11 a share. And I'm thinking, in general, everyone is going to start thriving around the world despite us, right? I was just realizing people are probably going to start investing in overseas companies that have decided, okay, screw the US. I've got this new trading partner. I'm going to start making all this money selling my oil to someone else. And so anyway, I thought that was interesting. as I try to figure out how to slowly put together a sensible, useful portfolio. Um, and the poi is going to hit the fan. That's a good expression. The poi is going to hit the fan. That's a nice way of saying it, right? Without swearing. You know, reflecting on what Midas Touch is doing, right? The one thing that's really easy to digest with Midas Touch is that calm, soft, sweet voice and the lack of any swearing. You know, I should probably aspire to swear. Not at all someday. It is something I control. Nevertheless, I digress. Okay, we got a lot of bad news to go over. Yeah, and of course I need to exercise. I did go to the doctor for the first time in like 30 years or forever. I mean, I was a child last time I had a physical, right? And so I'm gonna get blood work done. I'm gonna get a colonoscopy. I'm gonna get my skin checked by a dermatologist, you know, for skin cancer that kills friends all the time. I'm gonna do all these things, and that's interesting. One of the interesting things is I was filling out lots and lots of paperwork, right? And I have this Medicaid, Medicare, whatever it is, so which I've never had because I've never been in a situation like this. But everything's free. It's pretty cool. So one of the things you're filling out, right, is like is all the questions about your sexual activity, and you know, do you use contraception and how often? And boy, it sure is easy to answer that stuff when you don't have any, which is one of the highlights of not having a woman in your life. There is no chance you are encountering any sort of venereal diseases, male or female, right? There are benefits to getting no action. And so in addition to not becoming suicidal because you're with the wrong person, or them poisoning you in case you hook up with a MAGA girl. Oh, how about that MAGA girl people have donated $1 million, so now we're into the news. People have donated $1 million to this evil, despicable woman who Piers Morgan called despicable, which was cool for a right-winger to call a racist Republican despicable. The sick and twisted racist Klansmen and Nazis in our country have donated $1 million to this woman who called a 5-year-old child the N-word repeatedly. A despicable MAGA woman, right? And so it's when you see MAGA women like that, you're like, oh God, I'm pretty glad I'm single, because if I'm single, there's no chance I could be with a woman like that. You know, I mean, the chances are zero when there's 0 women in my life. Like, what if I got tricked? You know, some Jedi mind tricks by some Republican, crazy, racist, evil woman. That would be terrible. So I enjoy being single. It's not to say that I might not enjoy meeting a nice girl someday, but I enjoy being single because none of that's going on in my life. So she's another example of why you should be happy to be single. Anyway, of course, let's get into the news here. Trump and his crime lords are trying to make it so they can ship anyone off to foreign prisons in the scariest places. El Salvador. Now, of course, they're saying prisons in Angola or Rwanda, which are known for torture, abuse, violence, deprivation of rights, mistreatment, all these places, right? And that is their point. Cruelty is the point, right? Which is often spoken and said and written. And it is on full display, and it is so disheartening. And you know, the only reason they're not sending them off to Russia is because of the optics. Like, that would be even just a little too much worse. But oh, trust me, as soon as they think they can pull that one off on us, Putin would love to torture Americans in his gulags. Holy crap! Well, he already does, just for sport, you know. Just like and the way they take pride, and the way they've gone from these evil Republican crime lords have gone from, we're going after the rapists and murderers because that's what these immigrants are, to, oh, if you're just an immigrant working 80 hours a week headed to a dairy to go help your community acquire milk, oh, you're now a criminal. You've been here illegally, so you're a criminal. So we need to lock you up in a prison for life. A life sentence that's what's the same sentence you would give to a murderer, you would give to someone who's just here illegally. That seems pretty freaking terrible and awful. And we don't even treat our murderers that bad. Of course, there's right-wing psychopaths who are like, well, maybe we should. Anyway, so yeah, other foreign gulags are now on the and they're planning. They want to send people to Africa next week. This week, they're anyway. So gnarly. Sudan has an awful civil war that has hundreds of thousands of refugees that are suffering, and of course, we've pulled away the food assistance for people who are under attack all the time, violence, sexual violence, and the little bit they might have had to eat, we decided not to give them. So good for those Republicans, and which represent America. We are killing people through starvation. As well in Gaza, it's terrible what's happening there. So 3 months now, Israel hasn't allowed water, food, fuel, any humanitarian assistance, aloha tam, into Gaza. So now that they're just dying of starvation daily. The few places where there's food or any help, they're bombing those places. Ben Gavir, who was just here, publicly said, yeah, the Republicans support me bombing food distribution centers, right? And of course, in their evil mindset, they think, well, the more we kill, like they see these people as less than human. So less than human, they see them as like cockroaches. And they just want to try to exterminate as many of them before they just deport them all to some other place. Where are they going to put them? In the West Bank, where they're assaulting and tearing down people's homes in the West Bank right now. They just called up tens of thousands of more troops to increase the offensive on Gaza. The excuse being, well, they still have a few hostages of ours, which is just killing the hostages who are in captivity wherever they are. They're getting murdered by all these carpet bombs and indiscriminate terror. And anyway, it's gnarly. 100 people were killed last night, 50 people the night before, and they bomb them at night while they're asleep in their tents or at a restaurant or where they're distributing food, or the hospital or the journalists or the schools. There's all these cases of kids being freaking dismembered, decapitated by these. And this is the thing, right? In Russia, there's these horrible soldiers who've committed all these genocidal crimes as well, in Ukraine and other places. And these people go back to society if they don't get, like Ukraine has killed 800,000 Russian soldiers. So a lot of the horrible people that did crimes have already been killed. But those that aren't, like all these Israeli soldiers who are out there just murdering people indiscriminately, raping women, dismembering children, murdering children, they're going to go back to society. These people in Israel, these poor civilians in Israel are going to have these people who have committed horrible crimes just moving right back in next door. And there's no way you can remove that stuff from yourself, you know. And so yeah, I just feel sorry for all the people in Israel that are going to have all these, because there are some savage Israeli defense forces. Not really defense, it's all offensive. Meanwhile, Israel has said, hey, don't you take the blame, America, for bombing Yemen. We'll take that on. We'll take the blame from everywhere. They're bombing Syria. They're bombing Lebanon. They're bombing, of course, Gaza. They're murdering indiscriminately in the West Bank. And now they're bombing Yemen, saying, oh, America doesn't have to do that anymore. We'll do that for you. But I'm sure it's all a coordinated effort, and so on. And I mean, when you watch the genocide and the just destruction of the people, their lives, the mass murder of the people in Gaza, it offends our sensitivities and sensibilities. So if you're a Persian or an Arab or a Muslim, whatever you want to designate them as, somewhere in the Middle East, and you're watching that, even if you don't have a high opinion of the Palestinians, you still, it breaks your heart probably even more, because you see it as Israel just, committing ethnic cleansing and genocide, and so in protest to that, the Houthis have attacked ships going through the Suez Canal, right? And so, but sort of understandably, I mean, how else are you gonna? I mean, I could see them being driven to the point where they would think, well, we got to do something. So, but then that becomes the excuse, our excuse for just indiscriminately bombing and killing innocent people in Yemen, in the capital. And we bombed or Israel just bombed their airport, their main airport, and took it out of commission and took out some commercial flights. And anyway, it's just a mess. And the last thing anyone thought needed to happen right now was more soldiers, more weapons, more death and destruction in Gaza, where the official number is like the number of bodies they've been able to count is 60,000, but under all that rubble, which obviously is just piles of rubble that hasn't been sifted through, there are countless other bodies. And so anyway, I'm sorry that news sucks so bad. It doesn't really get all that much attention in the news, but it just happens every day. It just continues every day, and it's the white supremacist Jews and the white supremacist Christians, fake Jews, just evil criminals that want to murder people, have the taste of blood in their mouth. They have gotten together, and they are. It is just awful what we're watching them do. The Pete Hegseth moron, who I think could do anything wrong. Doesn't matter what Pete Hegseth done. He's the way Trump is going to take over, the military. And that is going to be, because he just did an executive order taking away all of our rights, making it legal supposedly for the military to go into the streets and use their weapons against us. Martial law, basically, in the form of an executive order. It's being challenged in court, but that is just the weaponization of the United States military against us, including the FBI against us, the Attorney General against us, Social Security against us, Medicaid, the veterans, everything's being weaponized against us. Free speech is being attacked. Freaking lawyers, judges, any legislators that try to stand there. I mean, it's just children. I mean, they just look like 10-year-old spoiled rich kids saying, I have all the money, I own all the properties on the board. It's like Monopoly, and so I'm gonna just ruin everyone's life as much as possible. And I don't put it past them to eventually get around to everything else people enjoy in life, right? Like everyone who had a medical right to smoke weed in all the states, they're all on like a registry. How long is it before they don't weaponize that registry, right? And start criminalizing weed, going the opposite direction, because Republicans have never been in favor of the decriminalization of weed. And Kash Yap Patel, FBI director, was just all morning. I watched this dipshit. He looks like he's on speed, Adderall, just a nice controlled dose of Adderall. I don't think he's on cocaine, but he's on something. I don't think it's just coffee, but he is, oh God. And when just one point he said, yeah, and the FBI was weaponized against me, so I understand it all too well. And now we're, like he is such a danger to everything that is just. Justice in our country is being run by unjust traitors, conspiracy theorists, downright weirdos. all of which just reek of having been teased so much that now they've got to just ruin everyone else's good time. I don't know what else to say. Um, Poor Lutnick, and I say poor Lutnick because he was called Nutlick. I have a hard time not accidentally saying Nutlick because it rolls off the tongue just as easier than Lutnick. Anyway, that poor billionaire is just an idiot, and he said Canada is feeding off of us, right? This notion that, oh, we're the entitled, spoiled rich kids, and all you poor kids, you're just getting lunch because I let you have it. I give you lunch every day. So you should be thankful. Like, it's just this shitty attitude that just reflects so poorly on the United States of America. It makes us look like such assholes. Like, we're just adding insult to injury and injury to insult. And it's so frustrating for anyone who's not one of these asshole, weirdo, billionaire, insurrectionist loving traitors who just love Nazis and Klansmen, everything they want. This is their agenda. God, white supremacists are just having a field day right now. And I can only imagine all the brazen things like this woman and all the people who are now proud to come out and say racist shit. Like, even if you are super racist and you think right now it's okay to show that side of yourself to the world, I wouldn't recommend doing it. People gonna remember. Anyway, and then in Utica, New York, one officer's pled guilty so far. 6 guards beat the life out of Robert Brooks, murdered him while in custody in handcuffs, at I think the police station, So more cops just brutally killing people. Not what we want to hear. Not what, like, when I drive across the United States, one of my fears is, one of the worst. I don't fear crime. I fear an interaction with police officers. The Pulitzer Prizes were announced. Palestinian got one of them for his reflecting on his experience. He's lost 31 family members from these genocidal Israeli psychopathic military people who should have stopped their efforts 3 days after the October 7th attack. I mean, anyway, but I saw it coming. I mean, I'm not here to tell you I told you so or anything like that, but I was pretty sure that when it started that the Israelis would kill 100 people for each one that was killed in that offensive, and they are pretty much there. I mean, they might already be there. They're at least a third of the way there, or more than that, close to a half. But yeah, it is, and it's just never going to end. And it's just getting worse, and Trump wants to own it. They're taking steps for Trump wants the U.S. to control the area, right? And that's how Netanyahu's going to be like, put the blame on, we'll let Trump do that. And then it's not us, you don't have to see us as the villain here. We're not the ones occupying it or controlling it. It's the United States. It's Trump. And I can just see that happy capitulation because he's like, it won't be Israel's fault. Israel will murder everybody in there and make it possible, and then jettison everyone out and all that, and then they'll under cover of, that's the United States now. So I can just see that coming. And the part where Palestinians in our country wanted to punish Joe Biden, which I understand he deserved to be punished, I guess. Yes, because he recent the Bituation Room lady, she was reporting on how Biden didn't push back, didn't tell Netanyahu to stop or whatever, and whatever was or wasn't said there, it wouldn't have mattered because Netanyahu is on this violent rampage regardless. He wouldn't have listened to anyone telling him not to do it. Biden did stop giving him 2,000-pound bombs, and he stopped from giving them 20,000 assault rifles, which Trump quickly permitted. And Biden never would have said, yeah, let's take all of Gaza and make it controlled by the U.S. and let's get every single Palestinian out of there. He never would have done those things. So he wasn't necessarily good. I agree. I understand that. But he wouldn't have been nearly as bad. I mean, this is just, it's hell on earth. It is the devil. It is the devil that got together with Satan and his friend Lucifer, and they are just killing and wreaking havoc, and it is so offensive. Yeah, so one can only assume that this is creating animosity around the world, right? What world do Americans live in where they want the whole world to hate us and want to see us suffer and want to see us be attacked and hurt, whether it's economically or physically? I mean, there's just got to be so much animosity building up around the world that, is on all of our hands. It's so sad. Anyway, we don't deserve that. Of course, the dipshits in the awful, terrible people in government want to now tariff Hollywood because they want to bring Hollywood movies back to America. What? What it is it's a backhanded way to try to attack California, number one. While you pretend to be wanting to protect California Hollywood, no, you're really just trying to attack Hollywood. And I heard one of these dipshits say, "Oh, well, with CGI, we don't have to go anywhere to make movies." Yeah, I don't want that. I want movies actually shot that are on location in Italy to be in Italy. I don't want some fake Italy. My God. It's just the dumbest shit ever. Anyway, so yeah, the tariff, and how's that going to work? How are you going to tariff Hollywood? Is it the foreign films they want to tariff? They want to keep us from being able to see, we like occasional foreign films. I just started capitulating to South Korean films, even some with, the kind of words at the bottom. And I normally kind of have a thing against that, but, there's some interesting, cool film and TV shows coming out of South Korea. I never did see that Parasite movie that I think was South Korean that, kind of put them on the map. But anyway, I just tariffing Hollywood. Come on now. The January 6th guy, Shane Woods, drove the wrong way drunk on a street, evading a traffic stop, and then got in a head-on and killed a woman. Just another good deed done on the streets of America, which has been made so much safer by this administration, because he was pardoned, a Jan 6 pardoned criminal, pardoned criminal, violent insurrectionist, racist traitor, murdered someone now that he's been pardoned. So good job, Republicans, making America safe. And that is the ongoing salt in the wound, the rub, where they say that shit over and over and over, and all we see is them not making us safe, bringing the rape brothers back here, glorifying the rape freaking, I don't know what you want to call it, the mindset of misogynists who think whatever. I can't even say it. It's so bad. And that is our current administration. They're so bad. All right. So everyone thinks Donald Trump is losing it. Dementia Donnie. He's just going off. He watches a movie and then he says, "Hey, I think we should take Alcatraz and turn it into a scary place for a bunch of people who aren't criminals, but who are here illegally. But they're guilty predominantly of working a 60-hour work week, taking care of their family." It's just so awful. And that place, I didn't know Alcatraz Did you know Alcatraz makes $60 million a year? I grew up right there, right? Adjacent to it, looking at it all the time, taking the ferry by it, and which I have made videos of that. But I've never actually gone there as a tourist, right? Like, that's a tourist thing to do. Why would I do that? I live there. But I think I should do it, and maybe it's too late. Anyway, because they want to waste money. This is the fraud, waste, and abuse regime of racist, insurrectionist traitors that are so goddamn evil and so goddamn stupid. They don't want to add $60 million to the budget every year. No, they're gonna just dump $1 billion to turn this place into a place where you can just torture people? That's really gonna make America safer? Torturing people that are guilty of working 60, 80-hour work weeks at a dairy or on a farm or at a ranch? I mean, oh, it is so sad. And of course, Donald Trump, the racist traitor, just made it clear that he's a traitor, right? Because he took an oath to the Constitution. Yes, when asked, do you see yourself as do you think it's necessary for you to uphold the Constitution? Well, what does he say? Because he swore that he would protect and defend it. Should you uphold it? He says, I don't know. I don't know if I have to uphold the Constitution. Oh my God. The Republican crime lords are just hard at work destroying everything that makes our country, that ever made our country in any way good, let alone great. So Pam Bondi. So this dipshit woman, she is so stupid. I have seriously been contemplating the path, sending a letter out maybe to somebody to see if I could get into a law school somewhere someday. I think I got to get my 4-year degree first. But man, if Pam Bondi can get through law school and pass the bar, anybody can. She is dumber than a stump. Anyway, so pointing to her stupidity is she's so delusional. So they make a seizure, and every time they do anything, right, make any sort of drug bust or seizure, it's a chance to be performative, a chance to put up a podium, put a bunch of drugs behind her, and talk about how great she's doing. It's so sad when we know that they're doing everything against the Constitution, everything they can to hurt innocent people. So she says, we seized 22 million pills, or 21 million pills, this much weight in fentanyl pills. First of all, I don't know why anyone would take a fentanyl pill. If anybody offers you a pill, you say no. Okay? Repeat after me. Somebody offers you a pill or a powder to snort, you say no. It's so uncomplicated. If anybody offers you a doobie to smoke and you know the source of the weed, there could be something in there. Or how about a bong rip? You say, maybe, or a beer. You say, maybe I'll drink a beer. Maybe I'll smoke a bong rip, But if someone offers you a line of something to snort, or if you think don't. A pill of any kind. I don't care what the pill is. Don't do it, okay? It's that simple. Anyway, people do. Even though these pills knowingly kill people, right? Like when I was a kid, pills didn't kill people. Occasionally they could, but very rarely. And snorting stuff didn't usually kill people either. But now that fentanyl exists, they do. What used to be recreational drugs are now Russian roulette drugs. That ain't fun. There can be no fun in playing Russian roulette to get high. So you can't do it no more. Don't do it. Okay. Anyway, so this moron says, because each one of those pills represented a death. She said, we saved 22 million, 21 million people's lives because we got 21 million pills off the street in this bus. Okay, which was absurd, right, at the beginning, right? Same drug bust, referring to the same drug bust. I don't know how long later, a day later, she says, We took all this weight of all these fentanyl off the streets. Somehow now 22 million pills saved 119 million people. There's only 330 million people, 40 million people. So a third, more than a third of our country. She saved our lives. Thank God. I think my life might have been saved in that cash. And then after that, she is so stupid. Again, based on the same drug bust, she said, same 22 million pills. We saved 258 million lives. Are you? Anyway, almost the entire population of the United States of America had its life saved by Pam Bondi. So thank you, Pam Bondi. You saved my life. I might have accidentally wanted to take one of those 22 million pills and have been one of the 258 million people that died from it. Look at that math. 220 would be one. So yeah, each one of those pills killed more than 10 Americans. That's Pam Bondi. That's our Attorney General. Holy shit. And we have 1,300 more days with this racist, insurrectionist, dipshit traitor in charge of our law enforcement, weaponizing the government against the people of the United States. Holy shit. So the Supreme Court has banned trans people from the military because even if you're willing to die for your country, that's not enough, right? You still gotta be persecuted and discriminated against, and prejudice needs to be put against you because you're guilty of wanting to just be yourself and be willing to die for your country. I mean, and so they're implementing this right away. Before the Supreme Court can overthrow it, they're just disrespecting. How can you not have respect for somebody that's willing to die to protect your freedoms in your country? Although no one should have to be dying to protect our freedoms, because we should all be civilized on this planet to the point where that just doesn't make sense anymore. You know, kind of like how, although I don't think it was a good choice of subject matter, opening up with war in Gaza, kind of like Bill Burr said in his comedy show, you know, war should just be illegal. No shit, yeah, because killing is illegal, but when a country does it for some reason, it's okay. I gotta believe these white supremacist, sick bastards, these religiously mentally ill, politically mentally ill, racistly mentally ill people who want to just inflict pain and harm on people for fun. You know, behind the scenes, Trump's saying, oh man, it's so fun. If I kill somebody with a gun, I might be prosecuted for murder, but I can use the government to murder millions of people and get off scot-free, man. It is so, he is having so much fun just doing a Grateful Dead dance on the graves of all the innocent people he is murdering, starving them to death all around the world, spreading AIDS, spreading measles, spreading venereal disease everywhere, depriving people of necessary food rations, right? Here, home, abroad, everywhere. Anyway, that's boy, these are not the best times in America. And I feel so sorry for all the people who aren't. Like, I'm the only description of a person who they're not gonna go after. Oh, except for the fact that I have an opinion. So I am just as much of a woman or a black guy or an immigrant or a Mexican, everyone they're prejudiced against, I have now become, because I have an opinion that doesn't agree with them, and they see people that don't have an opinion that agrees with their evil, racist, imperialistic ways as, oh, he's against national security. I'm a threat to national security now because I have an opinion that doesn't agree with their racist, evil methods and ways and the destruction of our Constitution, right? So I'm going to be on a list here before you know it, just like so many people. Larkspur Ferry, yo. Yeah, Larkspur Ferry is so awesome. Man, that is, I mean, if you ever are a tourist in the Bay Area, okay, drive to Marin County, go across the Golden Gate Bridge, go to the Larkspur Ferry Terminal or the mall area across the street. You can park in any of it. Really good chance your car won't get broken into. right? And especially, look, if you rent a car on vacation somewhere, um, don't rent the nicest car, right? Rent a compact car, get 40 miles to the gallon. It'll be 30 bucks a day, but also it won't be a Target, right? Like driving fancy cars just puts a target on your back. And but anyway, in Marin, that's every car. And then for what, like $12, you could take the ferry across, get a boat ride across the San Francisco Bay, right by Angel Island, and then right by Alcatraz, right into the port, which is adjacent to Fisherman's Wharf and Pier 39, and or you can walk straight into downtown, the financial district of San Francisco. Anyway, that's a great way to take in San Francisco, and it's a great boat ride, and it's 12 bucks. And but I did make videos of this. You may have seen that. So I'm telling you something you already know. And the Supreme Court, these ignorant, racist traitors, the Stephen Miller, the gulags, this bastard. Oh, San Anselmo, no shit. Wow. Okay, so let me just quickly about San Anselmo and Fairfax. The Deer Park, right, in Fairfax, right across the street from that is a 7-Eleven. Where that 7-Eleven is, before 7-Eleven, that's where my grandfather's restaurant, the Hamilton House, was. Anyway, and one of my friends here on YouTube, but in personal life now also, she found a matchbook from my grandfather's restaurant on Etsy, and ordered it and gave it to me as a gift. It's the coolest thing ever. I don't know how to show it to you right now, but anyway, so right there in Fairfax is where my grandpa's restaurant, the Hamilton House, was. Nevertheless, if I ever have just oodles of money and I'm opening businesses, maybe I'll open another Hamilton House. Who knows? Anyway, so the Supreme Court gets sued by dipshit, racist, traitor, Trump people. Stephen Miller. I mean, it's unbelievable. Anyway, I suspect this is pissing off John Roberts, the Supreme. He's suing the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court because he thinks the executive branch, the president, should be in charge of the judiciary branch, control it, right? And that's what they're suing for, control over it. It is seems like the dumbest thing you could ever do, but maybe they're just trying to push the goalposts, further and further out. They won't win this, but then they'll just keep after. But anyway, you gotta wonder. I mean, would Thomas and Justice Alito vote for their judiciary branch to be taken over by the executive branch? That'll be a test of their loyalty, huh? And then everybody else. That's seems crazy. Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend is a weirdo. Guy's like my age, right? And you know what I just realized? How to tell an authentic 55-year-old man from one that's a little less authentic. The distinguishing difference being whether or not you've had Botox injections. See this? See, I got lines on my forehead. See that? This is normal. This is a normal face. That's what normal faces are supposed to look like. Increasingly, on television and on YouTube, everyone I look at, I'm like, holy shit, wait a second, look at their forehead. I don't see any lines in that forehead. I'm suspicious. And may I remind you, Botox is botulinum toxosum. It is food poisoning that's been pasteurized, right? It's been cooked and then injected into your skin. And because it's poison, it kills all your nerves. So it relaxes everything by killing all the nerves. I will never be signing up for that, okay, personally. I'll never be injecting my body with food poisoning, pasteurized food poisoning. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, who is just an abject moron and gross. I mean, is she trans? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, anyway, what man could be attracted to Marjorie Taylor Greene? Anyway, he posts Who would do that? He posts himself on TV getting his Botox injections, which is so weird. It goes in looking like silly putty, and then they like push it around. Anyway, also the what? Because you're afraid of having some lines in your forehead. What did your girlfriend say? Oh, I think you need Botox injections, honey. You need to look younger so I can, what? Enjoy being with you more? It's so weird to me. So weird. Anyway, all right. Sorry, there's so much news. I'm a little constipated with news because I haven't done it in like 2 days. Truckers. Now, as many of you know, I rode a bicycle across the United States 3 times, but also recently, that was a while ago, I recently drove across the United States 6 times. Truckers are not all what us old school redneck white people would call Americans, right? They are everything under the rainbow. Now, being a trucker is the hardest job on earth, damn near one of them. It is brutal. It is nothing anyone should want to do. And of course, because it is an unwanted job, just like picking strawberries and working at the dairy, like the brutal jobs, the roofers, right? So many immigrants have found jobs in these jobs that white people don't want because they've turned into really shitty jobs, or native-born Americans don't want because they're really tough jobs, right? And trucking is one of those. And when you drive across the United States, at the rest areas, at truck stops, you'll see all kinds of guys with brown skin, speaking with a foreign language, with turbines, with people with families somewhere where they are just working like slaves to help. And if you've ever looked into the industry, the trucking industry, people are made to be sort of like almost like slaves. They got to work so hard to make very little, with all sorts of promise of making money that they don't usually make. It's a brutal industry, and so of course, because we got to stress out this system as bad as possible and create as much disruption. I wonder if it's all just purposely being put in place to hurt as many people, to make people as desperate as possible so that we can then be manipulated because we're all just clamoring for the last piece of bread. I don't know, but truckers, one of the 160 now criminal executive orders. Every executive order is criminal. One of them is truckers got to speak English, or it's got to be their first language, or they got to be fluent in English. Now, of all the things that you need to be able to drive a truck effectively, you need to be aware, you need to be awake, you need to be concerned about safety, you need to take care of, your trucking, log that says how many hours you drive. A lot of things you need to be good at. You need to be able to function, literally by being able to write, numbers and the language to some extent and speak some English, but that's not one of the things we need from a trucker. We need our truckers to just not be on drugs or to be criminals or to be rapists or murderers, right? We need them to be hard workers and honest, and that's what our immigrant truck drivers are. And there are so many, like at least half of America's truck drivers, which we all know that everything we get comes from a truck. We can all understand the importance of our truck drivers being sort of left alone. They're already antagonized by their own system that makes their life difficult and miserable. It's already a horrible thing you don't live long sitting, driving. They're allowed to drive 11 hours a day. They can drive 8.5 hours or 8 hours and then take a half-hour break and then drive 3 more. It is, anyway, so of course, it's just a matter of time before we attack truckers. And so now they're like, and truckers are among the groups, right? There's this group of almost 500,000 people who have a 2-year promise to be allowed to live here and work by our court system. And Trump tried to throw that out the window, but and force all these people out. 30 days, you have 500,000 workers. You got to leave our country. And a judge just stopped that. But how many of those 500,000 people are truckers in addition to working at a dairy or working picking your strawberries. I mean, these people at the top have no connection to all the things happening at the bottom that support their beautiful lives up at the top. They need people to do all these things, or they can't go to their fancy restaurant and have strawberry shortcake. Anyway, so forcing truckers to speak English or to be English speakers is, offering them free English lessons, free English tutorials, the software that would teach them English. Cool. All right. That would be I don't know, a human way to approach this. But no, they're not humans. They are evil. And they also perhaps are trying to figure out, before we're even ready, we don't even have all the robots yet, but they want to create such a need that, oh, suddenly we just have to have robots to do all these jobs, right? And so we have to invest all this money to get, and I do not want trucks being driven by a computer down the road. I don't want Teslas being driven by self-driven. I do not want to look over and see somebody playing freaking Sudoku on their phone when they should be driving their car, right? In case their car has a computer glitch for a second, or, buffers for a second. If you haven't seen it, recently a guy did a driving test where there was a mirror put up in front of I think a Tesla, right? And but the mirror had a wall behind it, and the car just drove right into the wall. It did not detect it. So that was it that Mark Roberson guy that did that? I'm not sure who did it, but that was freaky. And that's one of the many things Elon Musk was fearful of, right? Because he has killed so many people with his self-driving cars, giving people a false sense of security. I didn't know this, but the Pinto, which killed lots of people, right, and is notorious for having, if you rear-ended a Pinto, it would explode because the gas tank was privy to that. A Tesla is 18 times more dangerous to drive than a Pinto ever was. That's a stat you can't forget. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's one of the many things that Elon Musk has figured out how to circumvent by taking over our government for a little while he dismantled all the people that would have come against him, and then also stole everyone's data, medical information, banking information, IRS information. It's the scariest thing. The question mark that looms out there is, where is all that info? How many different places does it exist? Who's it being given to? How's it being weaponized? Oh yeah, none of that makes any American feel comfortable. Oh God. All right. Washington State arrested 30 protesters. And boy, do you have to be brave to take it to the point of being arrested, knowing how punitive and how evil our justice system is now weaponized against us. They're going to try to call anybody that protests against genocide somebody who is pro-terrorist and try to designate them as far more of any kind of threat than they ever were, because they aren't. Anyway, 9 people arrested in Pennsylvania, another college protest. The Attorney General in Michigan dismissed the charges they tried to, say someone was a terrorist because they were protesting genocide, just like all of us don't want to see. But the Attorney General dismissed that case, thank God. That was a small win. And then, back to Gaza. They all need to be moved out of Gaza for their own protection, right? Anyway, I can't talk about that stuff anymore. All right, UCLA used rubber bullets, or the shitty LA police department used rubber bullets that are pretty much damn near like a real bullet against the protesters, those who protesting the genocide at UCLA, and so there's a lawsuit for that. UFC is divesting its investments away from companies that, and it's so weird how why it's so easy to not be invested in defense contracting companies, right? And it's usually through, oh, they're invested in some fund, mutual fund or whatever, and one of the holdings in that fund is Boeing or Raytheon or whatever, and it's like, just take control of your portfolio. Like, it's not that hard to just not hold a mutual fund that has these companies in it. Like, it's so easy to not be invested in the objectionable companies. The part where they're like, oh, that would be so hard to do, or we can't do that, or we don't want to. It's like, why not? It's the easiest thing you could ever do. Anyway, the Columbia faculty and staff, Tufts, and Georgetown faculty and staff, all schools have had scholars, students, people who are the best among us. These aren't criminals. These are people who are going to school, studying all the time, going from bachelor's to master's to PhD. This is not easy stuff. These aren't bad people. Oh, and isn't it great when Trump, he never stops saying this stuff about anyone. He's a really bad guy. These are bad people. He's the bad guy. All his people are the bad people. And of course, they got to call everybody else a bad person. That's the devil calling other people evil. Anyway, but these staff and faculty at Columbia, Tufts, and Georgetown plan on having weekly protests. So good on them. Newark, if you're not aware, they lost communication with radio and phone communication with all the planes for 90 seconds. And it was a freak out, frightening moment. Nothing went wrong, but it was incredibly stressful for the air traffic controllers, right, at Newark. And afterwards, because of that stress, many of them called out sick. Now, some would say they're doing it as some sort of protest, but I suspect they suffered some very real trauma. It's funny, Nave was one of my grandfather's friends. Perry's is right, it was like a half a block away. That's where I did that. Anyway, back to Fairfax. Responding to you, John. Finally looking down here. Anyway, it's funny, interesting. So one interesting thing I've learned, and by the way, I'm doing an experiment, horizontal, vertical, I don't know how anything affects anything. But when it's vertical, the messages stay there. When I go horizontal, they come up and then they disappear. So that's an interesting nuance I just figured out is a difference. So anyway, yeah, I can see like several messages and they're staying there. So Newark, the airport. Man, I just flew out of that airport back here a few months. Thank God it was before the Trump administration. I've been thinking it would be cool if I could rustle up the resources and make a pilgrimage to protest the military parade. That would be a pretty cool experience. Of course, that's what it's going to evolve into. A protest far larger than any military parade. The protest is going to overshadow this stupid military parade, which is a waste of resources, right? Fraud, waste, abuse. This is waste. This is fraud. This is abuse. This is all three of those. And that's all the Trump administration is doing, the Trump regime. Anyway, so yeah, that's Newark. And then, of course, now the FAA says, we're going to try to come up with a new system. Verizon was working on this new system. We were hiring more people. You know what they did? They went in and they fired everyone that was sitting in a wheelchair. Oh, you're DEI. Fired women. Oh, you're DEI. Oh, you're black. You're fired, right? They fired all these people because they're racist traitors. And now they're like, oh, we need more people for the, we need more white people that pass those tests. So this is the misconception, right? People have never been hired because they were black or a woman or in a wheelchair. They were just allowed to compete for the job. They were included in the pool of people that were interviewed and allowed to test into it. And these people all are competent and have passed every test, and in many cases passed tests that white people didn't pass. And that's why they have these jobs. But no, Pete Hegseth, the Pentagon, Trump, Stephen Miller, all these racist traitors, the Doge assholes that asked, oh, fire these people. So they just went in mercilessly and then fired and offered them all a retirement, right? It is just god awful and just pure ignorance and so evil. Imagine being dehumanized just because like your leg got blown off in Iraq, right? So you're missing a leg from your time serving your country. Now you're serving your country at an air traffic control station in Newark, and they come in and fire you because you got your leg blown off for your country, even though you're the best air traffic controller in there. No, you're DEI because you're missing a limb, or you're DEI because you're black, or you're Mexican, or whatever. That's what they're doing. And how about the military? The military is like 51% not white, right? And they're going after all these people, or not, right? They want to get rid of is everyone who's a woman and combat trans people, black. Oh, you're all DEI hires, Mexican. There's all these people who've served our country and who don't even have citizenship. That we've deported people like that. Listen, if you're willing to serve this country and die for it to protect my freedoms, which again you shouldn't have to do. No one should have to do that. I suspect we should be respecting you. But no, this evil group of just satanic, sadistic, evil bastards are just, I mean, how long is it going to be before they come after everybody for everything? Wait till they come after gun owners, right? Because that's going to be a problem for them. And pot smokers, oh my God. Anyway, because God help anybody who's having a good time in life. Wait till they come after comedians for being funny. All right. What else? In 2010, Anastasio Rojas was trying to get back to his family. He'd been deported. He lived here for 25 years, had a job, a wife, and kids, all living in Southern California. He was deported, tried to get back to him, and when immigration officers got a hold of him, they beat and tased him to death, tortured him to death. And 15 years later, it's now been revealed by an investigation that all is true and did happen. And all the ICE agents that are Border Patrol agents who did that to him were never punished, never held accountable, and they still have their jobs. They're out there right now. I wonder how high their body count is now. We're offering to pay, coercion. We are offering to pay all immigrants $1,000 to self-deport. Of course, what, you think you can trust them when you come to give them your, to try to get your $1,000 so that you leave? Are they just gonna capture you right there? I mean, I would not have any reason to trust any system, any aspect of immigration, anything any federal agency is doing. I would only be wanting to hide and get away from and do whatever I have to do to not be murdered in a concentration camp. When you're confronted with being murdered in a concentration camp versus whatever you got to do to not get captured, I think you're going to think, I got to do whatever I got to do to not get captured. And God knows what all those thoughts lead to, all the actions that come from those poor, desperate people. And the future news is going to be reporting on aspects of that. I mean, you just have to assume, right? 14 workers on their way to work at Lynette and Sons Farms in Buffalo, New York, right? 14 workers. But a couple of them were labor leaders, people that fought for the rights of immigrant workers. Can't be one of those people or you're gonna get targeted, right? And so, yeah, they were targeted, 14 people. So whatever food is coming from Lynette and Sons farms isn't coming from their farm anymore. Oh my God, Tom Homan has a house up in Saget's Harbor, right? Where everybody hates him already. But food in that grocery store might come from Lynette Farms, right? There might not be food at that grocery store that his family shops at because of the evil, cruel, inhumane things he's doing to these people that aren't guilty of anything but working 60 hours a week to provide food for you and me. It's just amazing how quickly Republicans corrupt. But of course, while Republicans were in office and while they knew it would do harm to this population, oh yeah, they valued those. They made them essential workers. Said you have to go to work. Oh, it's okay if you're not here legally. We just want you to go to work and put yourself at risk, right? Oh, how convenient it was when that was killing them. They really wanted these people to go to work. Now they just want to kill them. I mean, it is just brutal. Anyway, and that was all the news I had like a day ago, and then more news was happening, and there's more happening, and there's a big pile already. It's I am constipated with god awful news. Pardon me. I've mentioned it already, but of course it's escalated and it's very noteworthy. As I mentioned before, India and Pakistan, they both have thermonuclear weapons, and in addition to killing millions and millions and millions of people, if they decide to hurl one towards each other or a few of them, that could be the event that leads to an international catastrophe that is a mass extinction moment, right? I'm gonna put it up here and just read the words one of these days of the alien who came back from the future, who descends from us, according to him, who explained to us about a half century ago that in about a half century, two things would take out most of the world's population. Religious tribalism, which we're seeing a shit ton of, right? Ziklag and Israel and these white Christian nationalists who are really just evil devil worshippers. But the alien told us the religious tribalism and super artificial intelligence is what's going to kill you, and there'll be just a few bombs that go off, and that some people die right away, but over time, because I assume there's a lack of sunlight that comes around the northern hemisphere, and with the lack of sunlight, a large amount of people on Earth can't survive. And so are we on the precipice of a mass extinction event? Or is it going to come from Ukraine? Or is it going to come from Taiwan? Or is it going to come from Iran? I mean, or is someone going to nuke us? Anyway, let's just hope and pray none of that happens. Wouldn't it be great if we had a bunch of common sense people that aren't insecure, running their countries, maybe even smoking a little weed together? How many times? Let me tell you, more than 1 billion times. Here's the truth. Pot smokers have gotten together, passed the dochi to the left-hand side, and they've said, what if all the world leaders did this? 1 billion times, more than 1 billion times. Pot smokers sitting in a circle smoking weed have lamented that, man, if we could just get all the world leaders to sit down, enjoy life a little, smoke a little weed, it might lead to world peace. Anyway, if you didn't know that conversation has happened, it has more than 1 billion times. All right. So I just want to talk about an idea I have that would be a solution to so much of the carnage we see in our country with homelessness, with fentanyl crisis, with the abuse that our government is now doing, weaponizing government against people, poor people, elderly people, children, all that. Um, I would love to see a system whereby we give people infinite number of chances to rebuild their lives, right? Just like a person in Alaska looks out into their yard and says, "Oh, look at that old piece of scrap metal. If I cut it this way and sand it and shape it, I can reuse it. It can become something different, but also useful," right? Humans, instead of throwing away humans, what if we offered anyone that wanted it, you know, a boot camp with no boots, a boot camp that's not like mean, like almost like summer camp style, where you address all of your deficiencies, physical, mental, right? You build yourself up. If you need your knee fixed or whatever, if you need to get off drugs, whatever, if you just want to pledge yourself to not sleeping on the ground somewhere, drunk, like we see. I just saw a guy like this, and it breaks my heart. But instead of dehumanizing these people, what if we offered them, and anyone who's experiencing homelessness, or their life crashes and burns, but they haven't become a criminal, and they just they want to do the work. Let's offer them that place where they can get the help they, like almost like a camp where there's 10 phases, and somewhere you plug in, and when you get to 10, you're ready to graduate, and that could be graduation could put you right into the military from that, right? It's like a pre-boot camp for people that might end up wanting to go to the military or go to college, and that could all be part of it. But start them out at whatever phase they're at. Maybe they're obese and they need help with nutrition and exercise, and we bring a healthy diet and nutrition and moderate. If it's in a weed legal state, no matter what drugs they're coming off of, you could offer them a beer, a little bit of weed, and still and basically turn what would have been people thrown away into complete productive members of society, right? Because this idea that we would throw humans away is a horrible, horrible thought, and now we see it happening. I mean, it happens already with our homeless people, but with these immigrants being thrown away into concentration camps that are guilty of being students and hard workers, good family members that go to church on Sunday. It is heartbreaking. But for every problem there is in the world, being as old as I am, I've had plenty of time to think about some kind of solution. And I would just love to see that program that if I became homeless, I could plug into a place that would allow me to store my last few things, right? Have shelter, get on a path towards education, towards good health, towards employment, or and start working maybe right away as soon as you're physically capable, whatever, right? Anyway, I'd love to see a no boot camp for any and every person who just wants to improve themselves, right? Who's, you can't make people change, but you can offer them a path. And I think if offered, but then also, and then you could get ahead of that also with programs that would keep people from getting to that point, which is a whole nother subject that I've also talked about, how we could have free public boarding schools for everybody. What if we could get all of our nation's children to the age of 18 without being traumatized? Oh my God. Our nation's productivity, just on a capitalistic perspective, our productivity would soar. Anyway, okay. What else? Went over that. Okay, so a judge said 1798 rule you tried to invoke is bullshit. We are not at war with Venezuela. It's all a lie. And Venezuela, the government is not directing Tren de Agua, which was their big contention, was that this gang was being operated by Maduro or whoever's running Venezuela at the time. So, and then, U.S. intelligence, some declassified document um, that proved that we do not see the government as directing Tren de Agua, and so we just overlooked our own intelligence and lied in order to deport these. In order to torture and cruelly deport innocent people, we had to lie about something we knew was a blatant lie. And then Ukraine and Russia. Russia just keeps bombing Ukraine, and Ukraine is exacting some pain in revenge, and they bombed a little bit of Moscow, and Xi Jinping is headed there, right? And so that's kind of significant, having the leader of China headed to Moscow, where that just received a few bombs. Mark Carney, kind of funny, right? Really, like this, it's a name. I was just thinking, like, you never hear of, like, the president of a country named Mark. It's just not a common name for, like, the leader of a country. Anyway, Mark Carney, God, poor guy, had to sit there next to Trump in the Oval Office and talk about how Canada's not for sale. Some things are never for sale. Never, never, never. And Trump's like, never say never. And he's like, nope. And he got elected because Trump is so disgusting and so horrible. The other countries are uniting against him, like Canada did when they elected that guy. And Australia also, it affected their elections for the better as well. Another, so many, so that one kid, Roger Forson, was murdered at his front door. He's in the Air Force. He's got his pistol at his side because someone's breaking down his door. And as soon as the officer saw him, he just opened fire and murdered him. And Eddie Duran, gnarly. So I forget what happened in that case. I'm sorry. And then Tennessee, Tyreek Nichols. I still need to unpack everything going on there. Tyreek Nichols was brutally beaten and murdered by cops in a traffic stop. The cops happen to all be, this is in Tennessee, black guys, right? And I'm not sure if there's who's getting locked up, who isn't. There was an acquittal, but there's state and there's federal charges, and I need to sift through it all. But it was this travesty of justice, the fact that 3 of them were acquitted. But I'm not sure if they're gonna go to jail still or not or what, but that is all very, things have blown off outside. Those little cards have blown up, probably down, now they're down 5 floors. Anyway, all right. El Salvador attacks a press entity. It's got arrest warrants now for people at the press entity that disclosed that there's an agreement between the El Salvador gangs and the El Salvador president, right? They have an agreement to share control and power. And when that was recently published, they had to attack them. So they're going after the people that, of course, the journalists that reported the truth. What else? Daniel Lozano Comergo has been ordered returned. He came here as a child. He was working on becoming a citizen, an unaccompanied child, right? And now he's like 18, 19, and we just deported this kid who was working his way, who was legally here, not an illegal, and he is in the El Salvador prison as well. Just another, we keep finding more and more. We need to bring all of these kids home. I mean, they're all just innocent kids by all accounts. I bet you, and that's the shame, right? And that's why Trump and these racist traitors, the Republicans, don't want to bring these kids home because so many of them are so innocent, and it's going to show how corrupt and truly evil all these deportations to an evil concentration camp that probably murders its prisoners. Again, if you haven't seen it, do a Google search on EarthView, find Sikot Prison, zero in the middle top, there's a shed in between the 2 rows of 3. There's a shed. Look at that. There's a blood stain the size of a semi truck, and there's what looks like a pile of flesh pieces, like bodies, and another drain of blood on the backside of it. Anyways, God only knows what's going on in that Sikot prison and what sort of torture is being done to these people. And meanwhile, I mean, you know the rest about that place. The Social Security, new head of Social Security that's been passed by the racist Republican traitors, the insurrectionists that have taken over the Senate and the House. They approved a billionaire who doesn't give a shit about your Social Security, right? See, these billionaires think about it like this. If you've never heard the ultra-rich talk about how entitled they are, they think only rich people should be able to have children because they can afford to raise them. They think if they don't need government, like they take care of all their own needs, so why should they have to? They think they pay for everyone else's needs, right? Oh, I'm subsidized, even though they pay a huge smaller percentage of their income on taxes than the rest of us, right? We're all paying 25, 30% of our income in taxes. Billionaires are paying 2, 4, 5% in taxes, but they think that we're all sucking off of them. So that's why they don't need or want you to get any services from government, because they don't need government for anything. Why should anybody else need government for anything? It's the perspective of the freaking assholes at the top who want to take away your medical care. They're happy to see you all die. Why do you need to live? After you work your 30, 40 years, you might as well just die. You're no good use to anybody, and you're sucking off of them, is the way they see it, right? So yeah, they got a billionaire in there, and he don't care about your Social Security, because what does he need it for? And so he'll be happy to destroy and dismantle your Social Security, right? Oh, you don't, huh? Okay, yeah, right, yeah. So I do. I've worked and paid into Social Security my whole life, and I am 8 years away from receiving it. And oh hell yes, I would like to have a little bit of that money back, right? But anyway, and so yeah, Bazignano is this racist, insurrectionist, traitor, Republican, sick devil worshiper, right? Who is going to be doing the work of the devil as he runs Social Security into the ground at the behest of these white anti-nationalist, anti-Christ fucking traitors. God, they're evil. These, I hate when they call them Christian nationalists, and it seems like Christians should be something other than like evil. So I just wish it was like Luciferian nationalists. That would make sense. Anyway, that should be the word we use. Let's get it right. Oh, and overnight again, 100 killed last night in Israel overnight as bombs, missiles, and drones all rained hell down on them. One of the things they bombed was the restaurant, one of the few places with food, a busy area of civilians with women and children. Yeah, they just bombed it, killed 100 people. Apparently the United Kingdom is still selling arms to Israel, even though they've said they won't, and they've told their people don't, but some apparently people are getting around that. So anyway, and that is all of the god-awful news that I collect. Now there's a whole lot more that is stacking up. Trump is signing more criminal executive orders that are going to have to be defeated. There's all these court cases. Of course, some of them are coming back around finally, and including Trump judges, right, standing up for the Constitution in some cases, in some ways, which is nice to see. They don't always do it And God, help us if we deport people to Africa like they want to next week. Um, yeah, and God help the world if there's freaking nuclear conflict here, there, or anywhere. It is ignorance on full display. How stupid you gotta be to want to fight in the first place. Second, to just kill indiscriminate people who aren't part of the fight. Third, want to just wipe out all of humanity. How about the marriage between weird tech leaders who see the end of the world coming, or at least that's their excuse for their grift, right? And then all the end of times psycho Christians and Jews and Arabs and Mormons and all the religious people who see the end of the world coming, and if we could just get the end of the world coming, then Jesus will come back or whatever. Oh my God. And then you got AI that's gonna quickly be able to build its own robots and won't need humans for anything. Oh God. Anyway, in a perfect world, we'd be slowing the advancement of AI into taking jobs away. We'd be making free trade, making great friendships and relationships around the world. We'd be trying to become so friendly that there's just no need for war ever again. And anyway, what the hell you gonna do? And hard to make jokes when the world is this awful, but I'm gonna keep after it, and I promise you to find some humor. And and now I can get to all the other things I need to work on. It's interesting. I'm doing a live view of outside vertically. I'm curious. I'm not sure. Does that get more views? Do people want that more? Do they look on their phone, or is it better the other way? I don't know. But as soon as I did that, the first time I did it vertically versus the other way I had been doing it, it got like over 1,000 views. And I happened to forget to put monetize that day, which breaks my heart because I don't normally get 1,000 views. It's the most viewed stream I've ever had, was just this vertical view for a whole day. And then again, this show. So I'm gonna have to go horizontal again soon and see. I'm watching the TV, which has my view. But I'm also watching. Oh, and all you people that are building your own channels, I want to talk to you about something that you may not realize, because I've looked at some of the channels. I subscribed back to everyone who has a channel that they're building, pretty much, although there's a few more to go. I subscribed to everyone all the way down to 190 subscribers, which was a lot of people. Between 190 and 50,000 subscribers, the people that are watching my channel. I made sure, and if they're showing me as I'm showing you who I'm subscribed to, then they show up, right? And so I went down and I subscribed to everyone's channel, and I go back and I look at other people's channels now who are subscribing to me, and yours, John, as well. And in case you feel the same way I felt, when what happens, which you're experiencing, right? You've got that video that has 6 views or 27 views or 17 views, and it's had that same number of views for a month or a year or a week or whatever, right? And the way I imagine it is like these videos are like a piece of dust that just settles on the ground, and something needs to come along to kind of kick them up off the ground so that they're in the air a little bit, you know? And so you can watch your own videos and get your own views if you obsess over your channel. If you're so eager to not be embarrassed, like let's say you tell your friend, hey, I got this YouTube channel, go check it out. But you're embarrassed because when they check it out, they see, oh, you got these videos with 13 views, you know, and it's had 13 views for a month or a week, right? And but you can watch your own videos. Now, if you watch it as a guest, they'll ring those views up. If you watch it as your own member, it'll take back about half of those views. So if you watch 50 times, it'll take back 25 of those views because it's you, and it knows it's you watching your own video. Nevertheless, it'll give you those views. So at a certain point, because I had I have over 1,000 videos. I had videos with 6 views, and I just hated it. So I watched that, and I watched I decided at one point, okay, any of my videos that have less than 10 views, I'm going to watch them myself until they all have 10 views. And I did that. And then I went through and I watched every one of my videos that had less than 30 views and brought them up to 30 views by watching them myself. And so on. And to this day, I still watch my own video. Right now, as a guest, I am 2 of the views. There are probably 4 or 5 people watching my live stream of the ocean. I am 2 of those people. And now that it's monetized, when an ad comes on, I let it play because I might actually earn 3 pennies from watching my own video. Anyway, the point there being, if you don't know this and you'd like to bring your counts up just for visuals, just so that when you send a friend to your YouTube channel, you're not like embarrassed because it's only 17 or 27 views. There's at least like 50 or 100, which is my goal, right? Like I went from, 30 for all my videos. Okay, then I want to try to get every video to 60 views. And I'm still working on it. I have a few videos that still have under 60 views. And when I'm bored and not doing anything, sometimes I just go there and click play and play those and try to get every video because I'm obsessed with not being embarrassed by the low view count. I watch my own videos and I brought almost all of them up to 60, but then the next mark becomes 100, right? And if you go back and you look at every one of my god-awful news programs, I now have watched my own videos to bring them all up to 100. Shamelessly, I tell you this. But it's worth noting. If you're like me at all and you feel sensitive or insecure about the low number of views you've got on your channel and you'd like to raise those, you can just watch your own videos over and over. And in the process, you can criticize yourself and look at whether or not you're making eye contact or what's in the background, or you can judge the shit out of yourself as you watch your own video 5, 10, 20, however many times necessary to get it to a point where you're not embarrassed about the low number of views. But also, I think maybe it kicks that piece of dust up off the ground, puts it in the air, so that when you watch your own video 10 to 20 times, it might show up on other people's feeds as an option for them 5 or 10 times. You might get 3 to 5 organic views out of watching it yourself 20 times because you kicked it up off the ground. You made it go from 6 to 26 views, and in that process, it popped up on someone else's screen, whereas it wouldn't have, Anyway, I don't know how the algorithms work. I don't know how any of it works. But I was doing that before I monetized, was able to. I still do it. And for those of you building channels that don't know you can do this, you can watch your own videos and get yourself some of your own views. Analytics can tell you the answer to, I don't know what fool would say, we don't want Social Security. You must be so rich, you just don't care, right? And of course, if you don't know this about Social Security, the rich people don't pay equally. They pay less. Once, you pay a certain percentage of your income up to 140 or 125,000, and then it just caps. If you're at 125,000, you pay a certain percentage, and then if you make 500,000, it's the same amount you pay if you make 125,000. If you make 10 million, it's the same you pay into Social Security as if you make 125,000. And the solution to Social Security is totally always been easy and obvious and logical. Just make it so that everyone pays the same proportion, right? Why should I pay a higher percentage of my income into Social Security and you than the person making $10 million a year? Why not just make it across the board? And if we just did that one little thing, it would fix all our Social Security problems. But rich people got to fight that, and all their little minions, the Republican traitors who they've elected into Congress, they got to fight on their behalf to make sure they're never taxed equally. Oh, wouldn't it be nice to have good people elected who aren't just taking bribes? And when will some of these people realize? I think some Democrats realize that, A clean conscience, a good night's rest is worth a whole lot more than any amount of bribes, right? Like, goddamn, I would rather be living out of my car with a clean conscience than be in a mansion, um, being a bribe taker, bribe maker, freaking traitor, insurrectionist, person who causes harm and cruelty just so you can get ahead and be. I mean, yeah, no, I'd rather have less and have a clean conscience and be happy sleeping like a baby in the backseat of my car than living in a palace as a murderer, as a thief, as a rapist, as a traitor, as a hypocrite, as a kidnapper, as a Republican. I mean, holy shit. All right. Sorry, a lot of doom and gloom in this show. Thank you all for watching. It is a good day to be alive. Don't forget that. If you can just say those words, it's a good day to be alive. Sometimes it can provoke you to think those things, you know. Gee whiz heck, son of a gun. I got 2 days left in my semester. I got to get my homework done. I got inspections. I'm in contact. I got this disaster caseworker working with me. She's kind of like a girlfriend in a way. Like, one of the benefits of having a girlfriend who's like a good person, or a boyfriend who's a good person, is they would be saying, Craig, don't forget, you need to make a doctor's appointment. You know, don't forget to go see the doctor. Go, you know, do these little things. Go sign up for this. Go apply for that. So my disaster case manager worker is a really good influence, and she has motivated me. She got me. I made an appointment. I went and saw the doctor, and that's great. And so yeah, it's funny. I just realized she's kind of like one of the really good things, you know, because like if you have a girlfriend, she might find you if you fall and break your hip in the bathtub, and instead of dying alone in a bathtub, you know, if you got a woman in your life, maybe she'll find you. If you got cancer on your back and no one would have seen it, you know, having a girlfriend could save your life. And if you have a girlfriend, she might remind you to make a doctor's appointment and go see the doctor. So I'm just appreciative to have this new woman in my life. And it's funny, her brother-in-law played baseball at Santa Rosa Junior College. Santa Rosa Junior College, notoriously, now our community colleges here, we don't have any sports. So if you want to play junior college, community college sports, you can't do it in Hawaii at all. So I just realized that. What a great place to like recruit. Marv Mays, the famous old coach of Santa Rosa Junior College football team, he notoriously recruited from Hawaii. We had all these big local boys on our football team, offensive, defensive linemen on Santa Rosa Junior College football team. And anyway, my disaster caseworker here, her brother-in-law, who's from here, grew up here, played baseball at Santa Rosa Junior College. Kind of cool, because she knows of this great community college that I completed 118 units at, where I played on the water polo team, I played on the tennis team, I was on the swim team, I was the vice president of Associated Students, and I wrote for the newspaper covering sports and opinions. Anyway, a school I love and a system I love. The community college system is great because it accepts everybody, right? If you don't know this, you don't need a college education, a high school education. You don't need to have graduated from anything. You don't need anything. You just need to have the willingness to go to school, and a community college will take you in. They'll let you test to place where you would start in math or English, and then they'll get you started. And then from that point on, all you gotta do is show up to class, do your best, and you can get your education going, and you can take it anywhere. Again, it doesn't matter if you have a high school, anything, because once you start accumulating success in classes, it's in a community college, that's all that matters, right? That's all your next schools. If you want to apply to Harvard, who cares about your high school? What did you do at this community college? Do you have straight A's, right? And if so, okay, maybe you'll get admitted to Harvard or Stanford or UC Berkeley. Like, you can go from high school dropout to Stanford, right? Anyway, community colleges are a wonderful thing, and I'm back in the community college system here, taking one class, which is just was a dream of mine, right? Because once you're taking one class, you could just keep going to school. You could just sign up for one class next semester, and you're just in the system, and you just get to sign up and pay and show up, and yeah, I'm just really happy. like has been portrayed in Hollywood, the student who's old, who stays there into his 20s, right, or to the age of 30. Well, now I'm starting back at 56, and I don't want to hurry this process up. I want to loiter in school as long as I can. Anyway, and when you take one or two classes, you stand a really good chance of doing well, right, and putting together a portfolio with a high GPA, which then opens doors. So, yeah, I wish I could get my son to go to school. Wish he would take my advice. But and then also, if you haven't heard Jane Fonda's advice, Jane Fonda recently came out with this advice after some studies, or because she's got all the money in the world and she can contact and talk to whoever. And anyway, according to studies, longevity, you live 7 years longer if you are socially connected, and the very best way, according to her, to become socially connected, to live an extra 7 years, is to take an art class at a community college, or just take art classes in general. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Of course, there won't be any more science or studies done for the next 4 years, so long as we have these racist, insurrectionist traitors that are afraid of information, afraid of history, afraid of schools, afraid of college, afraid of critical thinking, afraid of anyone's opinion that doesn't agree with their racist, white supremacist, freaking Nazi, Ku Klux Klan outlook on life. Yeah, that ain't never gonna happen. I'm never gonna capitulate to that. I imagine I'm willing to be locked up to not give up on my opinion of right and wrong, truth and lies. But we're seeing all these Republican traitors just capitulate and become liars, because they're just weak, meek, weakling traitors who will stand for nothing. They won't stand for the Constitution. They won't stand for the truth. They won't stand for the words that they said a year or two before about anything, right? Anyway, oh yeah, you gotta love that. Yeah, it is funny. It's a joke that I'm gonna tell on stage, because it's true, and I already mentioned it once before. And I said it in the teacher's class, who's gonna maybe someday teach comedy, who runs the Maui Film Festival, right? It was in his class, and he kept going back to it because he laughed. He kept warning me, or talking about his own mom in terms of this. But in a class full of 18-year-olds, I said, on the day of the final, I said, just in case any of you have a because you figure their moms might be anywhere from, if they're 18 to 22, their moms are anywhere from 38 to 50 or 52. So I said, hey, if any of you have a hot mom, a single, not married, a single hot mom, looking for a unemployed guy who's soon to be homeless, let him know I'm here. Oh, that was fun. Yeah, anyway, you never know. Maybe one of these fellow students of mine will hook me up with their mom. Anyway, it's fun being the oldest guy in all my classes. It's probably good for my brains, to keep them working. They say the brain is like a muscle. It gets weak if you don't use it. So go use your brain, and have a great day. Do no harm, do no crime. Thanks for watching All Good Things and All Good Time. Love all you guys. And John, I don't know. I don't know if you have anything tying you down. I don't know your details, but if you want to fly out here and hang out for a few days, I mean, it's not against the rules. I got an extra bedroom, extra bathroom. Maybe fly out here, hang out. I got a free car, free place to stay. Anyway, all right. Do no harm, do no crime. Thanks for watching All Good Things and All Good Time. Make it a great day, as it is a great day to be alive. Aloha.